Welcome to Philosophy and Critical Thinking. In today's video, I'll be putting forward a thought experiment called the Ship of Theseus. The origins of this thought experiment aren't completely clear, but the first time it comes in writing was from a philosopher, Plutarch, who put forward this thought experiment in writing. The thought experiment is there's this brave warrior known as Theseus who used his ship to go on his military campaigns. When the ship returned, the Greeks decided to keep and maintain the ship as a memorial to all of Theseus's life. Over time, however, the ship would start to decay in certain parts. Planks of wood would start to rot, the sails might start to tear, some of the ropes would start to fray, and so on. So each part would eventually need to be replaced. Over a long period of time, they would come to a point where every single part of the original ship had been replaced by something else. The question we need to answer is this ship still the ship of Theseus? If you think it is still the ship of Theseus, why is it still the ship of Theseus? If you think it's no longer the ship of Theseus, at what point did it cease to be the ship of Theseus? Was it when the last piece of the ship was eventually replaced, or was it some time before that? Have a think about your answer and pause the video before we move on to the next thought experiment. This next thought experiment comes from Richard Swinburne in his book, Is There a God? Swinburne says in this thought experiment, imagine I have died from a brain hemorrhage, and when I've died, my family has had me cryogenically frozen until they can find a cure. During the time that I've been cryogenically frozen, there was an earthquake at the facility, and this resulted in much of my body being broken up into parts, and including my brain. That my brain had been broken up into different parts, and also many of the parts of the brain were lost during this earthquake and couldn't be recovered. Over time, however, where medical technology had reached its peak, they were able to unfreeze me and put all the parts back together and replace all the missing parts that were lost during the earthquake. When I wake up, I act just as I did before. I have the same memories. I behave just as I was when I was still alive. The question Swinburne asks us is, have I come back to life again? If you think yes, why or how do we know? And if no, how and why do we know? Have a think about that and try and compare the ship of Theseus thought experiment to this thought experiment and see whether they are comparable or that there are too many relevant differences between the two thought experiments. If you want more videos relating to philosophy and thought experiments, you can go onto my website www.philosophycriticalthinking.com, and on that website there is a tutorial on arguments from analogy and thought experiments, which can be helpful in if you want to go deeper into analysing thought experiments such as these ones today. Also, I highly recommend the book Introduction to Philosophical Methods by Chris Daly, which is a very good book which has a chapter dedicated to thought experiments. And if you want more videos, please subscribe and click the bell. Thanks.